What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, rising, welterweight, title contender, superstar boxer, Jaron Boots Ennis, undefeated, 26-0, 24 wins by way of knockout. He's 23 years of age. He stands at 5'10", with a 74-inch arm reach. He will be facing off against former world champion SERGEY LIPINETS this Saturday night. SERGEY LIPINETS, 16 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw on his resume. This is considered a huge step up in competition for Jaron Boots Ennis. But Jaron Boots Ennis is ready for the moment. And not only is he ready for the moment, but he put the top of the welterweight division on notice. That being undefeated, unified WBC, IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer who is widely considered by many to be top 3 pound-for-pound fighters in the world, Errol the True Spence Jr., and undefeated 3-division world champion, former undisputed junior welterweight world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Terence Bud Crawford. Okay? Errol Spence Jr., 27 wins, no losses, 21 wins by way of knockout. He is 31 years of age. He stands at 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. Last time we saw him in the ring was December 5th of 2020 when he defeated 2-division world champion superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia via unanimous decision. He outclassed Danny Garcia in that fight, to say the very least. Terence Crawford, 37 wins, no losses, 28 wins by way of knockout. He's 33 years of age. He stands at 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. Last time we saw him in the ring, November 14th of 2020, when he defeated and stopped former IBF welterweight world champion British superstar boxer Special K Kell Brook in dramatic fashion in that fight. With that said, Jaron Ennis, he lets it be known that he is using SERGEY LIPINETS' fight as a statement. He's looking to make a statement with SERGEY LIPINETS, and he says it's the perfect opportunity because he's been ready to get a title opportunity, but these guys are maneuvering around him. He says he has struggling to get a big name in the ring with him, but now he says that this fight with SERGEY LIPINETS for the IBO title. It's not a 4 major sanction body. It's not the WBC, WBA, IBF, or WBO, but it's a world title. It's the IBO, okay? And so with that said, SERGEY LIPINETS is a former world champion. And Jaron Ennis said he's going to make a statement out of SERGEY LIPINETS. And he lets Errol Spence and Terence Crawford know, if I get my hands on one of these belts, I'm never looking back. I'm going to collect all of them from all of you guys. And he stated that then I'm going to move to 154. So we know there's talk of Errol Spence possibly going up to 154 after he becomes undisputed. Now there's a lot of talk that Errol Spence, he could be headed into a unification bout because he already holds 2 of the belts. He could be headed into a unification bout with WBA super champion, who was elevated, to super champion after 8-division world champion, legendary, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny "Pac-Man" Pacquiao. He was relieved and stripped of the WBA title due to inactivity. And you had Yordenis Ugas elevated to the full WBA champion. Yordenis Ugas, 26 wins, 4 losses, 12 wins by way of knockout. He's at 34 years of age. He stands at 5'9" with a 69-inch arm reach. Last time we saw him in the ring was when he took on Abel Ramos. That was September 6th of 2020. He got a split decision victory. Wasn't his best performance. He looked very vulnerable in the fight. And there's talks that Errol Spence and Yordenis Ugas could face off against one another in July. If that is the case, Errol Spence is going to be the betting odds-on favorite to win the fight against Yordenis Ugas. I highly expect him to win the fight running away. Something similar to the fashion that he did Danny Garcia. There's talks now that Showtime Sean Porter, 2-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer, could be in the running to land a showdown with Terence Crawford. He's the #1 WBO mandatory challenger. So they could have 2 big fights on their hands. And obviously the super fight in boxing is Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. With that said, I personally had Sean Porter in an interview on my platform. And Sean Porter, he stated, when I asked him about what his thoughts on Jaron Boots Ennis, he says, My thoughts is I'm going to stay far, far away from Jaron Boots Ennis unless it's absolutely necessary for me to face him. Other than that, I'm going to keep very clear of Jaron Boots Ennis. He's very athletic. He's very big. He's very strong. He's able to switch from southpaw to orthodox, similar to Terence Crawford, but he's bigger than Terence Crawford. He's at 5'10", 5'10" and a half. Okay, Terence Crawford is 5'8". Now they both have a 74-inch arm reach, so they both have extremely long arms. But he's bigger than Errol Spence Jr. and he's more athletic than both Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Bud Crawford. Now the key here is he's yet to have high level, high experience fights. Okay, he's yet to have. This is going to be his biggest test this upcoming Saturday, April 10th, against SERGEY LIPINETS. Okay, and SERGEY LIPINETS, you know, I expect Jaron Ennis to put on a masterclass performance, seeing as though SERGEY LIPINETS is going to have some extreme disadvantages in this fight. Okay, SERGEY LIPINETS is a 5'7" with a 67-inch arm reach. Okay, so Jaron Ennis is going to have a 3.5-inch height advantage and a 7-inch arm reach advantage, and he's much younger. He's 10 years younger than SERGEY LIPINETS. SERGEY LIPINETS is 32. Jaron Ennis is 23. SERGEY LIPINETS will be 33 soon. Jaron Ennis is at 5'10" and a half. SERGEY LIPINETS at 5'7". So there's an extreme height disadvantage for SERGEY LIPINETS, 3.5-inch. And a 67-inch to a 74-inch arm reach for Jaron Ennis. So you're gonna have a 7-inch arm reach advantage over SERGEY LIPINETS in this fight. And SERGEY LIPINETS is not the most athletic guy. Now he could be very, very crafty. Now let's get that understood. SERGEY LIPINETS could be very, very crafty, right? But he's just going to be at a physical disadvantage. And Jaron Ennis is very athletic, very very skilled, and has a high ring IQ. He's able to switch from southpaw to orthodox. And for him to have these extreme advantages over SERGEY LIPINETS just makes for a showcase fight, to say the least, for Jaron Ennis. Now, like I said, this is his first step up opponent. You know, this is the biggest name that he's faced, and he's admitting of that. He said he struggled to get big names in the ring with him. So he expects to make a statement out of SERGEY LIPINETS. But when you put him in the ring with the guy experienced like a Errol Spence Jr., I think he needs a lot more time, okay? Or Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford may not have, when you compare Terence Crawford's resume to Errol Spence's resume or Sean Porter's resume or Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman's resume, he hasn't fought the level of opponents that they fought, but he's fought some tough name guys, okay? He fought Gamboa, who was a 3-division world champion, Olympic gold medalist. He fought, Jeff Horn, who was in a rough, rugged fight and defeated Manny Pacquiao. Now, I didn't think he won the fight, but he got the nod, okay? He fought very tall, rangy guys like Jose Benavidez Jr., okay? He fought, crafty veterans like Amir Khan and Kell Brook, okay? He fought tough, hungry, high-ranking opponents, such as Ugas Kavalauskas, okay? He's fought guys who was considered to be the boogeyman in Victor Postile, so, they may not be the level of, the upper echelon that Errol Spence has faced 4-division world champion Mikey Garcia. He's faced Sean Porter. He's faced Danny Garcia. He fought Kell Brook 3.5 years ago when Kell Brook was the champion for his first opportunity at a world title in the UK in Kell Brook's backyard, and he beat and stopped Kell Brook there. So the experience that they have compared to the experience that he has. Now, the eye tests tell you that, he has all the goods. But when faced with adversity, we don't know how he's going to respond. We know when Errol Spence was in fights and he got hurt in the fight, or when Kell Brook was having success against Errol Spence, or when Sean Porter was having success against Errol Spence, or when Ugas Kavalauskas buzzed Terence Crawford, or when Yuriorkis Gamboa buzzed Terence Crawford. And these guys are world champions or high-ranking title contenders. So if you put Ugas Kavalauskas in the ring today with SERGEY LIPINETS, I'm favoring Ugas Kavalauskas to beat SERGEY LIPINETS, okay? So I believe that, Sean Porter, Mikey Garcia already beat SERGEY LIPINETS. I believe Danny Garcia would beat SERGEY LIPINETS as well. So you look at the level of opponents. He had the skills that being Jaron Ennis. He has the talent. but he doesn't have the experience to compete with them yet. I would love to see Jaron Ennis in the ring, with more experienced, crafty veterans. Okay, I would love to see him in the ring, with the likes of maybe Mikey Garcia. I would love to see him in the ring with the likes of Jesse Vargas or Josito Lopez, guys of that caliber, and work his way up and possibly face off against Keith Thurman, right? He's not going to get the fight with your Ugas because Ugas is going to go into a unification bout. But, work his way to a Keith Thurman fight. That's a big fight for him. Obviously, Keith Thurman is looking a former unified champion. He only has one loss to Manny Pacquiao. Keith Thurman held the WBC, the WBA. That's the only blemish on his resume, but he's trying to get back in title contention. Maybe he's looking to land a Terence Crawford fight. It don't look like it's too promising that he'll land an Errol Spence fight, seeing as though Errol Spence has made it abundantly clear he has no interest in facing Keith Thurman. Okay, so, but if he gets a Josito Lopez, who hurt Keith Thurman badly, looked like he was on the verge of stopping Keith Thurman. Or maybe he gets, like I said, Mikey Garcia is looking for an opponent for his next fight. And he says that, he's looking to stay at 147 and work his way to a world title. He may end up landing the Manny Pacquiao fight, Manny Pacquiao's next fight. But if Manny Pacquiao don't choose Mikey Garcia, and he chooses Terence Crawford, because there's reports that he could possibly still choose Terence Crawford. So if he chooses Terence Crawford instead of Mikey Garcia, well, Jaron Ennis, that's the perfect fight for Jaron Ennis, okay? Mikey Garcia. Now, I don't know if Mikey Garcia take the fight, seeing as though Mikey Garcia is looking to become a 5-division world champion, and Jaron Ennis does not have a world title, okay? And, beating Jaron Ennis for Mikey Garcia, at this point in time, it's just for bragging rights, because it's not for him to get a world title opportunity. It's not for him. It's not a world title fight, nor is it going to put him in contention to get a world title. So I don't know how eager Mikey Garcia would be to making that fight, but there's big fights out there, that Jaron Ennis can make. I think that, we need to see him in a couple more big fights. And like I said, Errol Spence is planning to go to 154. Jaron Ennis says he's planning to go to 154. So I believe that they'll meet up at 154 because, at that point in time when Errol Spence moves to 154, he's looking to become a world champion. But his close friend and stablemate at that point in time will be holding all the belts in Jermell Charlo, who's a 2-time junior middleweight world champion and is going to be heading into a fight with Brian Castano for undisputed. So he will hold all the belts. So at that point in time, unless he goes to 160 and Jermell Charlo, his identical twin brother, who's a 2-division world champion, the reigning WBC middleweight world champion, he moves to 168. Well, then that clears out room for Errol Spence to collect the belts at 154 and Jaron Ennis make his way to 154 because he could fight 3 fights at 147 and collect the belts after Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight for what would be undisputed at that point in time, because he's going to get that being Errol Spence, the Yordenis Ugas fight. So after that, him and Terence Crawford will be for undisputed. The winner of that fight is going to vacate the belts, move up, unless Terence Crawford, who stated he doesn't have much interest in fighting at 54, unless he stays and looks to defend the belts if he beat Errol Spence and stays at 47. So we have to see how it plays out. But I believe right now, Jaron Ennis is not ready for Terence Crawford, Errol Spence. But let's see how this plays out on Saturday, and let's see what he says in his post-fight interview, because I'm highly expecting him to be victorious. But make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section, let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Oh, it is your boy Jaden Kiss. Make sure you check out Blue Blood Sports TV. It's going down.